Alright, people, we're online. Everything's to be working as it should. Now, hold on, because my cat may require to go outside. What you gonna do, kitty? What you gonna do? Don't know what it's gonna do. Yeah, can't make up his mind anyway. This is gonna be part 9 of Great Ace Attorney Adventures on the Nintendo Switch. We're on the last episode now. That doesn't mean it's gonna be the last part of the full playthrough of this game, but because I think we still have quite some ways to go through this chapter. Oh yeah, what was this deal again? So, Mr. Sholmes, what are you so engrossed in? Did you not hear? I am not here. Of course you're not. I cannot think why the whole bed of the ocean is not one solid mass of oysters, so prolific the creatures seem. Ah, he won't even turn around and look at me. It's best just to leave him alone when he's in one of his moods like this. Yes, I can see that. Okay. Okay, Gina isn't here yet. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can examine anything anymore. Or maybe the violin, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, since this wasn't here before. Now, this really is Mr. Sholmes' faithful performing partner, then. The Stravidar, Scrapifarius... No, it's not good. It's no good. It's gone. The virtuoso's violin that he found in a pawnbroker's and managed to buy for next to nothing. After all we went through to get it back, it's just cast it aside on that chair. I was looking forward to hearing the beautiful sound it makes when Mr. Sholmes plays it. It does look rather sorry for itself there, doesn't it? Although, at least Wagahai hasn't attacked it yet. Even if his eyes are saying it's only a matter of time. Okay, interesting. Nice tidbit. Ginny. So, by Ginny you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the Mac Gilded case 2 months ago, right? And now my cat wants to go outside, so I'm gonna have to let him out. Hold on. Okay. So by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the Mac Gilded case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although after that trial I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. I wonder if it's maybe a one-way sentiment. Oh, hee, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Early always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Early. Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. It's her way. The way she is. I love it. I just hope she does actually come. Living with Sholmes. Yeah. There was a topic that was brought up before I stopped streaming last night of how she came to live with him and what of her parents and stuff. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. Dad, and where are your real parents? My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born, and at around the same time my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Early were working on. Oh, wait a minute. Did you say he and Early? Yes, Daddy and Early were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Hold on. Pardon me. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all? So you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly, John H. Wilson? Or Watson, as it were. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more. So I opened it up and found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Early who wrote these. He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me that's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. Okay, so Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. I've practically lived with Early all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite a shock when Early told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Early says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh. Well, having lived with Early all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouth sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all these thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley is hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved the case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day it was so embarrassing, as usual he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. You can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. Iris's father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And the man who in the most bizarre of circumstances lost his life just before we left Japan. Probably best not to tell her. Mr. Sato, yes, perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. We've been here for a while. Mr. Sholmes! Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam? Oh, never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc. No, not another disc, Mr. Sato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence, Mr. McGilded's disc. Oh my, then, what's it doing here? You know at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny. That's not something you're supposed to say out loud proudly like that, but okay. Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Okay. What of it? I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. Caramel? Bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. His memory appears to be very selective. There are certain things that he remembers in great detail and other things that he just simply can't remember. Even the simplest of things at times. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did. But I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars. Like this. Oh? That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. Okay. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. Can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. What's it made of now then? Not metal, surely. You wouldn't have invented a caramel that's not completely solid but doesn't melt at temperatures where metal would melt? That would be a bit far-fetched.
Do tell us that, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play?
Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. He doesn't have a player for that kind of disc. None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Hey, there was a thingy like that in the... I think something that resembled that in the pawnbrokers. At the pawnbrokers, sorry. I thought it was a portable stereoscope, but I guess that it wasn't. Inside the music box, there's a special metal piece called a com, and that's what produces the sound. Small protuberance is plugged at different... no, maybe that's not it then. Maybe that's not what I saw in the shop. Well, anyway. Small protuberances plug the different teeth of the column as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide all around the globe. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? We need a specific player for it. As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. Ah, I see. So that's why. Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one, so I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's early for you, always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Magnus MacGilded, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. MacGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Or did he? Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows, till now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried.
Even though we successfully established Mr. MacGilded's innocence in the trial,
the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. Maybe Gina does. Or Ginny, as it were. And although Mr. MacGillett was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. How can you be so sure? Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me, of something Mr. Windybank said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it, though I don't remember it even myself. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, were his words, I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh, yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windybank's storeroom, gathering dust. My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than the bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Early? Was that safe and secure?
Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now.
Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskervilles story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting, The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. What, she knew the title? What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said The Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Mrs. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But that was not public knowledge. But Bruno, The Hound of the Baskervilles, has never been published. What? When I showed Early the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said that he'd keep it safe, until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. So that's why the manuscript is at Windy Banks. And yet, how could Susie know its title? Well, Early, what's going on? What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade! This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Miss Lestrade! We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? What? Be more cheerful, damn it! Or she'll leave. Oh yes, just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourself at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some meddlesome? I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome it is, then. Meddlesome. Oh no, he doesn't like the violin. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome. And Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, well into the night. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine. Okay. And I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes' violin even now. Best of all, I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult with you about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Susato-san? It's about the telegram I received. Yeah, I'm still curious about it. The one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. What? Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Knock knock. Oh, who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Ah, Iris. Hello again. She's gonna sleep with Sado-san. And Gina too. Yes, Jeannie's going to stay with us tonight. She's going to sleep in with me. Ah, okay, with Iris. Isn't that right, Jeannie? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? Well, those things Jeannie showed us. Wasn't it wonderful? Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. I can earn the living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine! Oh my, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Ah, thank you. Alright then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it?
But she's never been
Up here before, despite the fact that they've been here for 2 months. Do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer of what lives in a place like this. Yes, me too. It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. Bruno, what are you doing? Look, I'm not gonna steal nothing, alright? It's all junk anyway. Charming. I suppose I should engage our guests in conversation, really. Gina looks very pensive over there. Are you alright, Gina? I was just thinking. That's all. Oh, I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this. Yeah, you already said that. Yes, you did mention that already. Get off. Did I? Well, nothing else really springs to mind, that's why. What's wrong with this room exactly? I like it. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry, I need a little more time, please. I wonder if the story was between the real Wilson and Sholmes, if maybe she heard the story from the real professor himself, the professor of medicine, when he was still alive, and if revealing how she knows the full title may perhaps reveal to her that her dad is dead, and maybe that's why she doesn't want to talk about it. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris. Not at all. I don't know what all this is about really, but it's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This mental script or whatever you call it. It's not exactly a story that I made up, it's something I read in Daddy's diaries. There you go. If she heard about the story from someone else, it would have been from the professor really, and that's why she won't talk about it with her Iris. Hold on, I need another pillow for my back. Alright. Should feel better. Ow. Daddies? That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Early's assistant once, his partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. I was as surprised as you are, though. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my stories based on what actually happened. So where's your old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him. Oh, right. Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. Iris, this Hound of the Baskervilles story. I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right, I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean. Oh? How? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it and showed the manuscript to Early, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances. It's still unsolved, maybe? But why not? It's one of my best works. I'm not at liberty to say, not now, so please do not ask me. Alright then, I won't. But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Mischief managed. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, isn't it? Yes. Hurley said it had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that. Okay. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. Eh? If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason. I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good. But you can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris, I bet my life on it. What? Early's lying to me? Okay. Shall we talk to her? I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Oh. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us. From the minute we're born, not even our mums. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. So that's why you're a pickpocket? Nah, diving's my life, I love it. I get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Oh, Gina. I do think about it sometimes. What did it be like to have parents, I mean? I always thought it'd make everything right. But having listened to what Iris just said, it sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. Oh. I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Oh, Iris. Sholmes' lie. Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he popped that mental script or whatever, right? But come on, that's obviously a load of rubbish. Oh my, why would you think that, Gina? It's simple, if that story was really in old Windybank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, you sold it. Without telling you. But Early would never do something like that, I'm sure of it. Huh. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. Just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling ya, that mental script ain't at Windybank's. You'd soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar, like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Early is telling me the truth sometimes. See? Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Oh my goodness, look at the time. Come along, Jeannie, we should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please don't mention any of this to Early, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning, I insist. Oh, yes, please, I can't wait, Susie. Good night then. Iris, it sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult. But deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruhodo-san. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yume University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Naruhodo! Mr. Naruhodo! That voice, that's Mr. Sholmes.
What's going on? It's the middle of the night.
It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone.
Gina?
She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received a distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Mr. Sato. Breakfasting? No, I don't believe the girl has gone home, but I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh. If you'll indulge me, look out the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? There's light at the pawnbroker's. Wait a minute, why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windybanks? Oh no. It's simple. If that story was really in old Windybanks' storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone? It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Oh, no, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once. Mr. Sato! I'm coming with you! The door to Windybanks, it's open. And the lamp is burning. Must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. There is no one here. Oh yes, there is. Bang! Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! What the? Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. But after them, go! Right. Blast! I've lost them. Hello, hello. What have we here? The alarm was just raised from the pawnbrokers, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me! It's my friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot? With the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windybanks. Oh.
Holmes-san!
なるほど様。
大丈夫ですか？僕は大丈夫だ。心配ない。それよりもあの扉の向こうだ。早く。
I think it said something like behind this door, more like. Uh-oh. And Gina is right. Yeah, I knew it. I'm gonna have to defend her. Probably. She'll be the defendant in court. To be continued. Well, that was a very short chapter, this one. Since I barely got started on it last night, and it's over already. Okay, turn the overlay back on. Hold on a minute. Right. Investigation Part 3. Bang! Ah, it'll be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. After them, go!
Behind that door in the storeroom, hurry!
It's Gina. Yeah, and holding a gun. From that moment, Windybanks' pawnbrokery became a crime scene. Everything that followed happened in a whirlwind of activity. The arrival of the police, the preliminary investigation of the scene, and the questioning. It was just before dawn before I was allowed back to my lodgings at 221B. Yeah, let's say it that way. Oh, Iris.
A telegram came, but
All it said was, wait at home. Oh yes, we asked one of the policemen to have it sent. It was simply impossible to come back. When I woke up, I was all alone. Early and Ginny were gone. Everyone was gone. What happened, Bruno? Poor Iris. She's trembling. She's obviously trying very hard not to let herself get too worried. I'll explain everything that I know. Something awful has happened, hasn't it? Yes, I'm afraid so. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Iris, but Mr. Windybank is dead. He was shot. We discovered it in the early hours of the morning. Oh, yes, I had a feeling. You did? Well, I saw all of those police carriages pulling up outside his shop, so I knew something must have happened there. When we entered Windybanks in the small hours, we disturbed a gang of 2 thugs. They ran out onto the street and I chased after them, but they got away. So it was one of them who shot old Mr. Windybank, I suppose. I don't know, but that's not what the police believe at the moment. Oh, why not? They've arrested someone else as their prime suspect, you see. Gina. Jeannie? But why? Well, the thing is... No, Jeannie wouldn't do something like that. I know. None of us think she did it. Then why have they arrested her? I'm sorry, there was nothing I could do. Sholmes' situation. So where's Early then? Is he still there investigating the scene? He really ought to have some breakfast. It's not good for him to miss meals. I don't want you to worry, Iris, but I have some news about Mr. Sholmes. He was taken to hospital this morning. What? Well, when we entered Windybanks, a gun was fired and he took a bullet. Hurley? Was shot? No! It's alright. His life isn't in danger. Really? Are you sure? Where is he? Which hospital? He's at St. Sinners? I must see him at once. I'm sorry, Iris, but you can't. Why not? That's not fair. I'm a family member. I should be allowed. No, I mean, nobody can see him at the moment. He's not allowed any visitors. They're preparing to operate, you see. To operate? Oh, poor Hurley. It was the 2 thugs who were in Mr. Windybanks' shop. Windybanks' shop, sorry. They shot Mr. Sholmes when we disturbed them, you see. It was pitch black inside the shop at the time. My mind went totally blank, I'm afraid. I just froze. After them, go! After that, I ran out into the street, but, well, they were long gone. I shouldn't have hesitated. I'm so sorry, it's my fault. I'll let them get away. I think that's a very good thing. Sorry? Well, if you'd seen which way they went and chased after them, you might have been shot as well, Bruno. On top of everything else, I couldn't bear that. Oh, Iris. Where's Susie, Bruno? She's still at the police station. Oh, why? I expect she's still being questioned. The police said they wouldn't be finished for a while. Why aren't you there then? Well, I didn't get a good look at the criminals anyway, so they weren't questioning me for long. And Mrs. Sato stayed behind at the scene to tend to Mr. Sholmes, so they didn't get started until later. Ah, I see. Besides, one of us had to come back to be with Iris. I'm glad Inspector Gregson agreed to me leaving early. Should have let me know and I would have come to the station. Oh, excuse me, I'm so tired. I don't sleep well at the moment. I don't understand why they arrested Jeannie. It's not fair. What about the 2 thugs that were at the scene? Why aren't they the prime suspects? After all, they shot Early dead, didn't they? No, I mean, Mr. Sholmes isn't dead, Iris. This is all so horrible. The thing is, Mr. Windybank was found on the floor in the storeroom where he keeps all the deposited articles. And the storeroom door was locked from the inside. I see. But he wasn't alone in there. Gina was found next to him on the floor as well. Oh no. And according to the detectives who investigated afterwards... Don't tell me there was no one else in the room. Yes, exactly. How did you know? It's the only explanation. Yes, the only explanation indeed. What do you mean by that, Rudo? Well, what can I say? I'm damned if I agree, damned if I don't. I'm afraid I'll need to go out again now, Iris. There's not much I can do at the moment. But I can at least try to find out how Mr. Sholmes and Gina are getting on. I want to go too. Take me with you, Runo. I can't stand just sitting around here waiting. I'm not sure how I feel about taking a 10-year-old child to the scene of a murder. But I don't want to leave her all alone here either. Alright then, Iris. Perhaps you can help me. Oh yes, I'd love to. Gina is at the prison. Mr. Sholmes is probably in his hospital bed. And don't forget, we have to visit the crime scene. We need to conduct a thorough investigation. I can see you're ready for action. I imagine Iris would appreciate going to the hospital sooner rather than later. Alright. It's spring at last, and the weather is warmer now, but I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, how about some tea, Bruno? Thanks, Iris, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Susan makes me from time to time and Iris's unique herbal infusions, this place is paradise for a true tea lover. If you're sure, you know I always have plenty whenever you're feeling thirsty. Okay, yeah, it's the same descriptions overall, but now that Iris is here, she has some input into these things, I guess. Susie's lovely green tea has had quite an impact on Early, you know? He stopped putting milk and sugar in his coffee, even. And Early is normally bitterly opposed to bitterness. Iris reacting to the Daruma. The Daruma doll I brought with me from home, still with only one eye colored in. I said I'd color the other eye once I won my first court case here in Britain, but... That's cruel, only letting it have one eye. Yes, but it's because I don't consider myself a good enough lawyer yet, you see. Once I become a fully fledged lawyer, Miss Susato will color in the other eye for me. Well, in that case, why not color in the other eye now? And then every time you win a new case, give it an extra eye. You can never have too many eyes, you know. Call me crazy, but I never considered that. And now he does. We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. Hurley's desk is far worse, you know. I'm sure if I try hard enough, I can make my desk as messy as Mr. Sholmes' is. I wonder. You don't think I can? Well, it takes a certain genius to reach that level of disorder, you know? The path to true mess is long and arduous, it seems. Oh, Susie often invites me up. It's so much fun. Really? What's her room like? I can't tell you that. Oh. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know? Where have I heard that before? I suppose some things are the same the world over. We were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns we put in there are doing rather well, and the anemones too. Apparently tanks like those were very popular in London before I was born. Oh, you mean they're not anymore? I think people discovered it was too much effort to clean them out and change the water all the time. Can't believe that. Prawns and anemones are fun for a while. Wait, what? I want to move. Hello, Gina. They let her keep the grenade launcher. The heck? Oh, you still have the grenade launcher Hurley and I made. I wish she wouldn't point it at me all the time, though. What are you here for? Jeannie, I have a feeling it's because of us that you've ended up in trouble. So we were thinking that we might be able to help you. Well, you can't. Sorry. You heard. Get lost. Don't be like that, Ginny. I know you didn't do it. You'd never shoot someone. I just know you wouldn't. You think you know me? Pull the other one. You ain't got the first idea about the likes of me. I'm a thief. I pinch people's purses when they're walking down the street. That's how I get by. And if I saw me chance, I'd sneak into a pawn shop any day of the week. Just to see what I could lay me hands on. Get it? That's the kind of person I am. But Ginny, I'll be in court tomorrow, they said. Some cove came by before and said he'd be a lawyer for me or the like. Said it was my right or something. But I told him to get stuffed. I don't need no lawyer. I don't need no one. She couldn't be asking me any more obviously if she tried. Staring at me. Sorry. Why are you being like this, Ginny? Whoa. Just pulled on the wire here. I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away? You wanted me to sign some papers, representation papers or something like that. It's all gonna be rigged anyway, the whole trial. They'll pin it on me because I'm a kid. That's what grown-ups always do. Why do you think that? Because that's how it's always been for me, growing up in the back slums me whole life. If you do what the grown-ups tell ya, it'll get your mates dragged off by the coppers or worse. I've had it happen to me before and all. Been sold out and nearly snaffled on the back of it. You can't trust no one, that's the point. Soon as you do, you're gone to grass, dead. Gina, listen, if you like, in tomorrow's trial I could... Forget it! Jeannie! Don't you trust Bruno? Nah, I don't. Look, I'll ask you nicely tomorrow. Just leave me alone. Will you tell us what happened, Gina? Last night at the pawnbroker's. There's nothing to tell. I figured it'd pay me, so I broke into the place and started going through the storeroom. But the old bloke walked in on me and you know the rest. But why, Ginny? Why would you do that? Ain't it obvious? The place is full of stuff I could sell for a shilling or two. Diving ain't easy, you know? It's a lot of work, and half the time, you don't even get nothing. Is that really why you broke into the place? What? Are you sure the true reason wasn't something else? Give it a rest. What'd be the point anyway, eh? Nothing I could say would make a blind bit of difference. Please tell us, Ginny. We'll believe you, whatever it is. Believe me, don't be daft. You can't believe nothing. Everyone lies all the time. And you know what? When it comes to liars, I'm the biggest of the lot. I've told some unforgivable lies I have. What do you mean by that? What unforgivable lies? I'm so tired, I'm sorry. What did you mean before, Gina, when you said you were the biggest liar of the lot? Why don't you tell us what these unforgivable lies you've told are? Maybe we can help. Sorry, we're out of time. They're gonna want to question me now. Ginny, please. Oh yeah. I wanted to give you this. Something to remember me by. A photographic print of a really adorable cat. I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point me having it. I wonder what that little photograph like that was doing in the pocket of that overcoat. Anyway, don't bother coming again. Bye. Oh, Ginny. The white cat photograph has been entered into the court record. Okay, let's have a look at it, perhaps. There we go. They deposited 1 small box, 10 shillings. Look on the back of this print here, there's something written on it. Deposited a small box, loan amount paid, 10 shillings, redemption deadline 13th of April, 9 p.m. So this photographic print is a redemption ticket. 17th February? It could be significant. It was just 2 days before the murder on the omnibus, wasn't it? A small box, that doesn't tell us much about it, does it? Bruno, if Mr. McGilded still had the ticket, then presumably he never redeemed the article. So do you think the box might still be present somewhere in the shop? Ah, yes. If it's something McGilded deposited, we need to investigate. Updated in the court record. Redemption ticket issued from the pawnbrokery owned by the victim. Okay, that's our generic answer. Also,
Here, Gina, look at this. No, Ta. I wasn't saying you could have it.
oh, weren't ya? Well, when someone says I can't have stuff, it makes me want it, see? So you better hand it over now. No, I'm not giving it to you. Converse. Ah, there we go. I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away? You wanted me to send some papers, presentation papers or something like that? No, okay, she already said that. Yeah, we've already been through all that, right? What, I've presented everything, conversed about everything. Now hold on. No. That's not what I want to do. Can't I examine around the door to the cell? Well, yeah, I don't think there's anything else we can do here. Sholmes is sweet. No, that's their house. Baker Street. What about the hospital? Ah, yeah, there we go. Yeah. What's further up the list? Hurley! Oh. If he's up and about, then that's good news, even if we can't see him. He's not here. No, that's strange. The nurse definitely said he was in the bed by the window, didn't she? Oh, I know what's probably happened. Hurley was being a big baby and the bullet wound wasn't that bad after all, so he's been sent home. I'm not so sure about that. Baby or not, there's no question that it was a fairly serious injury that Mr. Sholmes suffered. Oh. Hello. What have we here? This ward is off limits. No visiting. So what are you doing in here, eh? Well, I'll have you know, we're Hurley's next of kin. Eh? Oh, well, begging your pardon then, ma'am, sir. A little lady and a curious Eastern gentleman. The great mystery solver has a mysterious family, eh? If that's how you see us, I'm sure. Where is he, Constable? Where's Hurley? I believe he is currently in the operating theater, ma'am, undergoing an extensive operation. Extensive? It has been several hours since he went in. Oh dear, is he going to be alright? Well, it doesn't appear to be working, you see. The anesthetic, that is. Oh! I have heard a report that the gentleman claims he may have had a little too much to drink last night. Coffee, that is. They can't put him to sleep with their anesthetic because he had too much coffee? That doesn't seem very likely. Heck, I'm falling asleep and I've just had a big mug of coffee. You'd have to have really abused the thing. I'm gonna get more to drink also, by the way. That'll keep me awake also. I didn't get a refill after last night, though. If only my back wasn't hurting me all the time like that. Anyway, I think it would be fair to assume that he won't be back here for several hours yet. I see, thank you, Constable. Perhaps we should leave and come back later. Oh, poor Hurley. What if he's not here? Should we check the scene of the crime, maybe? Well, let's finish checking this here before anything else. I wonder what these are. Do you have any idea, Iris? Crutches. Oh, haven't you ever seen crutches before? Let me explain. They're for people with leg injuries, to help them walk. You hold one under each arm, you see. Ah, right. I thought they were weapons of some sort. Why would there be weapons in a hospital? Thought maybe a fighter had been injured in a battle contest and been brought here along with his weapons. That's surprisingly plausible. Okay, can't have a look at this. There's really not much to look at on this side of the screen. That doesn't seem very convenient to put a medicine cupboard like this right on top of the bed where the patient is supposed to be resting. And also the beds don't have wheelies, so it's not like you can easily move the bed with the patient on it if you need to get medicine from the cupboard. Well, anyway, this must be Mr. Sholmes' bed. Poor Early. I know, it looks as stiff as a board, doesn't it? Oh, I don't think that will bother him. No. I often find him asleep face down on the floor, completely dead to the world. I think I'd call the police if I discovered someone like that. What's this? There's a notice board on the wall here. Look, let's see. What does it say? Thought of the day. On seeing any vermin, calmly and discreetly inform matron. Oh yes, they have rats and mice in hospitals like this that love to feast on all the medicine. If you don't deal with them, there's nothing left to treat the patients. Rats and mice? Oh, I see. This is a rather old building, I suppose. But the doctors and nurses are all very good, I hear. Certainly hope so, for Mr. Sholmes' sake. Well, I think I've looked at everything. There doesn't seem to be anything left. Okay. Move. So we've already been to these two. Sholmes' suite. We came from there. Baker Street. Maybe let's check Baker Street. See if we can find anyone. There's still a Scotland Yard carriage outside Windy Banks. I never imagined we'd be investigating a case so close to home. Poor Iris. She's very upset by all this. I'm sorry, I was there. I should have done more. None of this is your fault, Bruno, so please, don't apologize. But it's the criminals who are to blame for all this, so let's investigate and work out how to catch them. Yes, you're right. It's already been 2 months that we've been taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. When Early comes back home, let's have a big party. That's a great idea. I'm sure it won't be long. Mr. Sholmes is very tough. Well, let's move then to the scene of the crime. This is where it happened then, last night. That's right, the two thugs I told you about were obviously ransacking the place looking for valuables. But apart from the policemen in here, you wouldn't know anything had happened. There's no signs of a disturbance. I wouldn't say that. There seems to be shards of something broken down there on the floor in front of the... you guys can't see it with the overlay though. No, you're right about that, actually. In fact, if anyone, it's the police who seem to be the ones doing the ransacking. I know what you mean. They're like a gang of organized criminals, all dressed in black. Oh, yeah, I heard that. Gregson. Oh, Inspector, good morning. I suppose I ought to thank you for your vigilance last night. We got to the scene before it was disturbed, at least. Shame you let the two rogues get away, mind. Yes, I'm sorry about that. thought you'd assigned extra men to the beat around here, Grixie. Now look what's happened. Early's been injured because there weren't enough police on duty. Ah, your ladyship! No one told me you were coming. I expect you to take full responsibility for what happened to Early and see he has the very best medical care. Of course, your ladyship. The very best doctors in the capital are attending to him as we speak. And I don't think it's Runo's fault that the rogues managed to get away, is it? Chasing criminals is the police's job. Absolutely, your ladyship. As you say, ma'am. As you say. I love that she's like their boss. The gent in black is totally blameless. Everyone's in agreement about that. Would you believe it? He's like a completely different person with Iris. Talk about the personality change. Where are my manners? Are you thirsty, your ladyship? Perhaps you'd like some juice? Some nice, refreshing fruit juice? Yeah, she's a tea drinker. Offer her some tea at least. Oh, why? Are you thirsty, Grixie? I have some of my special herbal tea with me if you'd like some.
Glick, 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 glick.
Ah, lovely. Ta, very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. I don't even recognize him like this. Ah, he's back with the fish and chips though. I noticed two things. The shards down here, which you guys can't see because of the overlay. But more importantly, this here. What happened to it? Hey, a bullet went there, no? Alright then, let's see what we can uncover. Oi, what do you think you're doing, Sunshine? You can't touch anything in here. Oh, but we were hoping to investigate. This is a crime scene for Pete's sake. No touching. What's the problem, Grixie? Bruno's a lawyer, you know that. Oh, I'm ever so sorry, your ladyship. Ever so sorry. The rules and regulations are a thorn in my side. Of course, if Mr. Naruhodo was to have been properly appointed by the accused, that'd be another matter. The accused? If you could show me some representation papers, I'd be only too happy to let you nose around. Did you hear that, Bruno? You need Ginny to sign some representation papers. Looks like presenting the detective here with the correct paperwork is the only way. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the look of it. Instructions from the yard are to examine every article in the shop and every ledger and book of accounts. Every article? But that's a ridiculous amount of work, surely. We've been hard at it ever since the shop was declared a crime scene in the early hours. We're sifting through it all in shifts at least, but still. We'll be working through the night, that's for sure, and even then we'll barely have scratched the surface. A crime in the pawnbrokers? Must be every policeman's worst nightmare. It's every copper's worst nightmares, you know, a crime in the pawnbrokers. Huh, okay. This is common knowledge, I guess. Yeah, I'm not gonna be allowed to look at anything else, really. This officer has been staring intently at the wall since before we came in here. Shh, keep it down. Oh, sorry. There's a major clue just here. Really? Then we must tell Grixie at once. But as soon as I report it, that'll be it. I'll be stuck here even longer. Stuck here? What do you mean? I haven't been home in 2 days already. I need another constable to relieve me and take over me shift. Ah, they really have a tough time, the British police. That doesn't stop us investigating though, does it? No, I suppose not. I'm fairly sure it was the calendar he was peering at. Yeah, but I tried already. They won't let me. Well, let's converse for the time being. Even my arm is sore now because of the second shot of the vaccine that I got this afternoon. It's more painful than the first time, if anything. So how is the investigation going, Inspector? Nothing to it, really. Very simple case, this. There's some very definitive evidence. We're just about to charge that diver we arrested last night, in fact. Gina? You're going to charge her? That's right, should be able to bring her before the judge at the Bailey tomorrow. Definitive evidence, you say? What is it? Come on, show me! Your ladyship, as much as I wish I could oblige you, I'm afraid. Ah, I see. You've already captured the pair of thugs who broke in here last night, have you? What the? And you're going to put them on the stand as witnesses, are you? How could you? How could you possibly know that? I had a feeling, that's all. Remind me never to try to keep a secret from Iris. So you've arrested the two men who shot Mr. Sholmes, have you? Well, yes, they were rounded up pretty quickly by the lads on the beat. And Miss Lestrade is being held at the prison? She should be. That's assuming she hasn't lifted the key from the jailer, of course. Can you tell us anything about Mr. Sholmes? What's his condition? Sorry, I'm not at liberty to divulge that information. Scotland Yard matters are strictly confidential. Well, I know he's being operated on at St. Sinner's. Why can't I see him? I'm family, you know? I'm terribly sorry, your ladyship. It's the hospital's policy. No visiting at all. Oh. The bullet must have hit an artery in his midriff. He's lost a fair bit of blood. Oh, no. It didn't seem too bad in the first hour or so, but hemorrhage like that is enough to make even the one and only Sholmes pipe down. Mr. Sholmes is a human like the rest of us, you know? Well, anyway, he's having emergency surgery right now. They've got to stop that bleeding. But he will be alright, won't he? They'll be able to make him better. Oh, of course, your ladyship. He'll be as right as rain before you know it. Really? How do you know? How do I know? Well, because, of course. Ah, yes, because Mr. Sholmes is such a great detective, that's why. We'd better pray the doctors have a better grasp of what's needed to make someone well again. Oh dear, please don't die early. I'll report to your ladyship the moment I hear he's out of the operating theater. Her ladyship. I couldn't help noticing, Inspector. What? Out with it, sunshine. Well, there seems to be a marked difference between the way you talk to me and Iris. Watch the sauce, Sonny. I'm a copper and we don't go in for favoritism. But he's right, you do treat us differently. It's cause of those adventures of Sherlock Sholmes stories, that's why. Oh, I crop up in them, don't I, Inspector Tobias Gregson? Oh, well yes, because you're an acquaintance of Early's. What did you write about the Inspector, Iris? I don't remember really. It was one of Sholmes's lines. Gregson is the smartest of the Scotland Yarders, is how he put it. Oh, did I write that? And you know what that one line did for me, eh? The very next month my pay doubled! Doubled, I tell you! Oh, that's amazing. All because everyone at the yard reads them. They read all the Sherlock Sholmes stories. They've even set up a fan club for me. Of course, that explains everything. It was around that time that you became such a toady to me. Can you blame me? And all it'd take is one bad word from you and Sholmes could change his tune about me. Gregson? No, the great detective will say. He's getting quite overrated these days. Think what would happen to my salary if that came out in print, eh? The whole thing gives me the willies. I can't tell you how many nights of sleep I've lost to worrying about it. But that would never happen, Grexy. Every month when the new Rants magazine comes out, my hands are trembling as I turn the pages. Oh, how awful for you. Here, have some of my tea to settle your nerves. Lovely. Ta very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. Teetotal. Yeah, there's something I was supposed to talk to you about actually, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, what is it? I've got an important message for you. I clean forgot about it until now. An important message? I wonder what it could be. For me specifically? Are you going to tell me what this important message is, then, Inspector? Yes, it's about that young lady who was normally by your side, your assistant. Yeah, she had been summoned. She's at the station, isn't she? Being questioned, I believe. Nope, not anymore. She had to head off. Head off? Where? To Lord Strongheart's office, of course. He summoned her. Ah, yes, of course. I'd forgotten about that. The telegram. One of the whipstocks took her there in the yard carriage after we'd finished questioning her. But she asked us to tell you she didn't have the fare for the return journey and to go and meet her there. She's got a nerve using Scotland Yard as a bloomin' messaging service. I see. Well, thank you for passing that on, Inspector. Why did Susie have to go to see the Lord Chief Justice? She didn't tell me, but I'd better head over to the Lord Chief Justice's office to fetch her straight away. Actually, maybe I could have a look at the telegram now that she's gone, if it's still in the same spot in the office. It's still here. I was trying to read what's on the cover, but couldn't make it out. Oh, this looks like a telegram. It is, but you mustn't open it, not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. Now then, let's see. No, what did I just say? You mustn't open it. Don't worry, I won't. With this special concoction I've developed, I'll be able to see through the envelope without having to open it. No, that's not allowed either. Oh, but I'm sure it's something important. Little geniuses sure can be mischievous. Okay, I can't read it myself either. Okay, then we should go see G now about the deauthorization or something. Yes, no matter how many times I come here, I always get the same sense of oppressiveness somehow. Do you think the place is oppressive? I think it's normal. How so? I mean, look at that suit of armor over there. You can't take that seriously, can you? Maybe it thinks the same about you. So everything is clear with regard to tomorrow's arrangements, I trust? Yes, thank you very much. There they are, Sisado-san and Lord Strongheart. I wonder what they're talking about. They both look very serious. Very good, there is nothing further to discuss. You may return to your lodgings. No doubt you have much to do in preparation for your return to your homeland. What? What's that? Wait, what did he just say? Your return to your homeland? Sisado-san! Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. What was all that about? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, thank you for coming to collect your colleague. What's this all about? Why were you talking about Mrs. Sato's return to her homeland? And tomorrow? Tomorrow? But what about Jeannie's trial? You mean she's been formally charged now? Oh dear. Is the Chief Justice still around? No. Oh, I've always dreamt of sitting at a huge desk like that and looking important. Why don't you try it then? Discreetly, of course. Alright, I will. Tell me how I look. Well, Runo, what do you think? I can't see her because she's behind the desk. A little too discreet. I can't even see you. Oh my goodness, just look at all these books. Yes, there are books about the judicial systems of all different Western nations. Even for someone like me, it would take at least 10 days to read all of these. Just 10 days? Oh, I was only joking, Runo. I thought it would be fun to play up my genius. It's scarily believable with you, that's the trouble. Those giant suits of armor are still facing each other menacingly across the room. I just can't understand why anyone would wear things like that in battle. They must be so heavy. I expect you'd invent some special lightweight suit if it was down to you, wouldn't you, Iris? I think if it was me, I'd invent a world where people didn't need to fight each other in the first place. Cute. Iris, you're a champion. Well, what do you think? That was a model answer, wasn't it? She's 10, Ryunosuke. 10! And she's leading you around by the nose. I love clocks and their mechanisms, don't you? The way all the hundreds of pieces fit together and work as one to move the hands of a single timepiece. Yes, I can imagine clocks are just your cup of tea. When I was little, I used to dream of one day living inside a clock, you know. Then you must be envious of the Lord Chief Justice having his office in a place like this, I suppose. No, not really. Oh? Well, I mean, that's a dream for when you're little. It'd be silly now. Don't let Lord Strongheart hear you talking like that. So, about this. Wait, I must have more time to examine it thoroughly. Really? There's no need. If it's not relevant at the moment, you can just say so. Susato-san takes everything so seriously. Mrs. Sato, what's all this about? Oh, please don't concern yourself, Mr. Naruhodo. It's only me going back to Japan. Your life here can continue just as it has. That's not what I asked. What happened? Why are you leaving? It's my father. He's fallen ill. Oh, no. Professor Mikotoba? If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University.
We received an international telegram from the Empire of Japan informing us of the news.
10 days ago, father collapsed with a fever. The cause is apparently unknown, and it seems he grows weaker day by day. I don't believe it. As you are aware, the voyage from here to your country's capital, Tokyo, takes some 50 days. I thought it would be prudent to hasten Miss Susato's departure as much as possible. Yes, absolutely. I will leave London first thing tomorrow morning. Can't believe this is happening. So Gina has been charged. She'll have to appear in court? Yes, she was formally charged a few hours ago, and the date of the trial has already been set for tomorrow. No, not even 24 hours later? Gina. Ah, the Lestrade girl and the murder of the Baker Street pawnbroker, yes. An all too conspicuous case. The pickpocket was clearly disturbed mid-robbery and shot the man in a panic. No, the yard is overstretched as it is, without wasting time on these open and shut cases. It's not wasting time. Ginny would never do something like that. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes, Lord Strongheart. In deference of your fine services to date, I shall overlook this young girl's insolence. But I have no recollection of admitting a child into my office. Leave, now. Shouldn't have spoken out of turn. Of course, Lord Strongheart. Criminals will tell the most palpable lies in order to evade justice. The police can ill afford the time it takes to unravel all their untruth. Meanwhile, more crimes are perpetrated. We have far more serious matters with which to contend. Serious matters. Didn't Gregson mention something like that yesterday? Yes, Inspector Gregson made a similar remark yesterday. It's no concern of yours, though I'm sure I need not remind you of that. "3 minutes precisely until my next meeting. You must excuse me." "There's just one more thing, Lord Strongheart, which is, it's Miss Lestrad's trial. I wonder if you might permit me to defend her." "A timely suggestion. Sorry?" "The girl currently has no representation." But that's not fair." "Yes, she may be a pickpocket, but she still deserves a fair trial." "Let me guess. Lord Van Zieks will be prosecuting?" "Do not misunderstand me, young lady. The government provides for those too poor to afford representation with a public defender. The accused need only sign the relevant paperwork and a defense barrister will be assigned to the case. However, the young girl in question has refused that right." "Why would she do that?" "A question you would do well to direct at Mr. Strad. You'll find her at the local prison." "Yes, thank you." "Now then, it's time I was leaving. Good day to you." What a day. Gina charged with murder. Susato-san about to leave. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Iris, we must make haste. "But Susie, you're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do?" "She has very little things to pack, really, so..." "As Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you in whatever way I can." "Thank you, Mr. Sato." That's a very pensive look. "I think we ought to visit Gina first. In any case, I should like to visit her well before I leave." "Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go." If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I'll just have to do what I can, as a lawyer. Well, I suppose Iris will be assisting me instead of Susato during the trial. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's try the prison. Could try the hospital as well after this. Ah! Hello again, Gina. Again, why is she allowed to have this in jail? What are you locked here for now? To have the muzzle of that grenade launcher shoved in our faces yet again, obviously. I think I need to improve the way you load ammunition into that thing, don't I? Look! You can come as many times as you like, but I ain't got nothing more to say to you. Gina, I wonder if you might hear me out. There's something I'd like to say. What? I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell. Farewell? Tomorrow I must begin my journey back home to Japan. I fear we may never meet again. Oh, right. I've had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories, and yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Iris is so miserable. Susie. Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Mr. Naruhodo believe you to be innocent, Gina. They've put their faith in you, but somehow you can't find it in your heart to put your faith in them. Yeah, that's right, I can't. What of it? It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they are so clearly unhappy. Because of you. What? It's my fault? Yes, so I have one final request, Gina, before our path never cross again. Right here and now. I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith they've invested in you. Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be. What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, eh? You've told us that everyone lies. So prove it by admitting one of your own untruth. What about what you said before, Ginny? You said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Mr. Naruhodo and Iris the truth now. That is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant. No, I can't. Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing very heavily on Gina's mind. Gina, I could be wrong, but... is it something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial? The one in which Mr. Magnus McGilded was acquitted? Ah, the case of that mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus? You were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about? Yeah, you're right. Because in that trial... I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe. Will you tell us about it now? The trial 2 months ago. Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and showed me in the witness stand. And based on your testimony, Mr. McGilded was declared innocent. Yeah, well, the thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. I knew it. What sort of thing did you lie about? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cute cubbyhole. I couldn't see a thing, and then... I heard that loud thud like someone falling to the floor, on the floor. And that's when Mr. McGilded discovered you? Yeah. He pulled me out from under the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There's no knife in his chest at that point. I wonder, I noticed before that he had a button missing on his coat or on his vest. That was not relevant to the case earlier, but now I wonder if this will have some relevance at some point. Or if it's just some kind of artistic choice to show that he is kind of scruffy looking. There weren't much light to see by, but when I looked at me hands, I had the cove's blood all over him. I was so scared I couldn't even speak. You had his blood on your hands? In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses on the roof deck saw through the skylight. Then Mr. McGilded started asking you questions, I suppose. Who you were and why you were hiding under the seat. Yeah, he did. Only, that's not all. What do you mean? I mean, he threatened me. Threatened you how? He made me swear about what I'd seen and what I'd heard. And about what he was gonna do after the cove was found dead. He made me swear I would tell no one about any of it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scarp her before the coppers showed up. Gina, you must tell me what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. That's a lot. What you saw. You said McGilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw, but you were in the pitch black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? Yes, with Mr. McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cove hitting the floor. I let out a little scream, see, couldn't help it. McGilded heard that and dragged me out by me arm, and that's when I saw it. It was on the floor next to the old geezer who had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny. A disc? Do you mean... Yeah, that's it. The one what the deed took off me at Windybanks. So the music box disc was there on the floor of the omnibus? Not for long, McGilded spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it in his inside pocket. So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago, at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. And the buck trotter told me. I weren't to mutter a word of it to no one. Because it was so dark under that seat in the cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. And after a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was McGilded getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh, because I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In his testimony during the trial, Mr. McGilded claimed he slept during the carriage ride. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear him talking the whole time in low voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I don't know. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other. Well, that we already knew. He was his creditor. So McGilded was lying as I suspected. I knew it weren't gonna take long before someone raised the alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. The 2 coves from up top ran off to get the coppers. Yes, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right, and after they'd gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favor. A favor? Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. I'll give you 10 guineas. A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Yep, you got it. It was Windy Banks. The coachee snapped up the money and ran off to pop this coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. McGilded opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there, but not without conditions. I see. What were Mr. McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean. Not telling a soul, not for anything, about what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more? Yep. This is the most important thing, he said. I'm after sending the coachman on a little errand for me with some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? At all? What? Anything at all? At all? Okay, yeah, that was a weird formulation. You asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye, the fiend's taken me overcoat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts. And I want you lass to take the redemption ticket for it, do you understand? What, you want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You're to hang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. Alright then, and in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, Windy Banks, so it is, and you're to extend the loan before the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article would be forfeited and any old fiend could come along and buy it. Eh, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5, that should be enough. Do we understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me... Yeah, I get it. Good. And one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye, they'll come asking you to take the stand in court to testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What is it? What it is that you might say, and what it is that you want. After he'd gone over it all, I piked it. Got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. I went to fetch it the next day once it got dark, so McGilded planned it and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. And apparently even the coach driver was in on it in some fashion. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied in that big old courtroom. I told some corkers. The thing is, he said he would make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. You had no choice then. What a wicked man. He knew everything what went on in the back slums. He knew he had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat, he could have had the lot of us chased out of there if he'd wanted. And then, where could we have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So, I didn't have no choice. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I'm for it now, eh? Go on, admit it. You must be livid. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor. A favor? What? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Eh? If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us. Investigate what? The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sholmes was shot, you see. You what? Early is having a big operation right now, Ginny. Is it bad? Is he gonna be alright? Sholmes is gonna be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate, for Mr. Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy, is that it? Something like that. Mrs. Sato? Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me though. No lawyer or nothing. Poor Ginny. She seems so lonely. Gina's representation papers have been entered into the court record. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Windy Banks now. Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there. I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last. And now I have her representation papers. No one else knows just what a responsibility that is. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Windy Banks. Especially if her ladyship is around. Although something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. Ah, okay. To be continued. This could be the last portion of investigation before the trial. So that we may be able to start the trial tomorrow night, I think, at the pace at which I'm going. But I doubt I'd have enough time to finish the trial tomorrow, though. It's probably gonna take two more streams after this one. And then I'm definitely sure that it would be over, I think. Windy Banks Pawnbrokery. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Grexy. Here are the representation papers. Grexy. Your ladyship. How? I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is. I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Ah, lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, yes, I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime then? Do as you please, you know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windybank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there are so many articles to go through, it's taking forever, even with the lads working around the clock. Which is a problem, cause there's another case the yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Come on then, let us not waste any time. Ah yeah, the shards of glass I saw on the ground seem to be coming from that lamp. That's broken on the desk. There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Windybank's notes, and, what's this? It looks as though someone has left a little photographic print behind, and I've seen it before. Oh, look on the back, there's some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Susie, show us. 15th February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, one gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April, 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat, pound for a pound, sorry. Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think... Yes, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday. And it's still wearing, which belonged to Mac Gilded. I would never have expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. It seems Mr. Windybank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have to hand. But this photograph of a cat... It looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact picture somewhere else recently. Oh, yes, you're right, very recently. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier. Of course, I was forgetting that she gave us that print. Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out! Alright, let the clocks turn. Is this, seek the differences kind of thing? I know, they're exactly the same, it says down there. And that seems to be true. So... Although... I'm not so sure that they're exactly the same. No, you know what I think? I think the both of them are part of a 3D image, where in this release of the game you would have to, how do you say again? Cross your eyes or something? Look at it cross-eyed? To see the 3D effect, but, yeah, I can't. There's no way. If they were smaller, or maybe if I look at it from further away. No, never mind, I can't. Okay, they're exactly the same. Hehe, I've got it. These two photographs hide an amazing secret. A secret? What does she mean? You must tell us, Iris, at once. Hehe, do you really want to know? Yes, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. Ah, she'll tell us, I guess, if I converse. Okay. Can I look at the lamp? That ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? It must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn. It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head if you ask me. But clearly Mr. Windybank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care. Ada? These shelves are where the pawnbrokers puts articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy. Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example? But sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know? Are you alright, Bruno? Oh, it's just, well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them, even that horse statue. It's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever. Well, let's have a look at that calendar, and... what's that exactly, anyway? Ah, look here. A bullet. And what, the calendar was affixed to this thing? Looks like a kind of frame. Ah, yes, a bullet hole. And I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall. Presumably Mr. Windybank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. Ah, well, Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry. It's all there in the adventures of Earl Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Ah, did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It is quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often. He shouldn't even do it once. Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet. What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? A suspicious red stain on the calendar. Also, we know that Windybanks changes the date on the calendar at midnight every day. So the fact that it says April 16th tells us that it happened, the shot was fired on April 16th after midnight, and it couldn't have been on the 15th before midnight. That's probably an important piece of information for later down the line. Because otherwise the sheet of paper would still have been there, I guess. No? Aha, I may well be able to help with that. What? There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo? I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types. Yes, what a scientific observation. So you need this. Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing? Hurley and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet, but as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch. Oh, the color of the bloodstain has changed. There, does it make sense now? Yes, I think I'm starting to understand. Good, it works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see? Yes, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color, so you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at in a flash. Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleeding great. So whose blood are we looking at then? Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood to a different color, so... just find someone whose blood turns the same color and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. If the guy, the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank, was shot in the storeroom, the bullet that's here might be the one that went through Sholmes, I guess. 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So we must make a note of it in the court record. The blood sample has been entered into the court record. A blood sample's portfolio? Let's keep testing and adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio, okay? As long as I have reagent left, sure. green blood. It just seems wrong somehow. Oh, there are all sorts of different colors. There are pretty pinks and purples too, you know? Like I said, everyone's blood is different. I wonder what color my blood would turn out. Actually, I don't want to know. This is that strange contraption that lets you see pictures of things as if they were right in front of your eyes. Makes you think. When Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. And this one? I wonder if it could be a music box, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again. Oh, yes, that's a folding stereoscope. Ah, so my first assumption yesterday was correct then. Saying that it was a miniature portable stereoscope. Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Sholmes showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used a great big contraption over there. Ah, well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Grexy said. Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night, through the little window in the door. Mr. Windybank, face down on the floor with Gina beside him. As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation. Yes, of course, and we will. Behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime.
Don't worry, if there are clues in there, I'll find them.
Aye, okay. So if I wanted to move, I could already. But let's converse, I guess, before anything else. So Iris, about these 2 photographic prints. The one we found here on Mr. Windybank's counter and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these 2 identical prints? Actually, that's not quite right. Sorry, it's one print. If you look carefully, the 2 prints aren't the same, not exactly. They're not? Have another look at them now. Yeah, the angle on the face of the cat is different, definitely. And then there's its position relative to the background. It appears further to the left from the snowman on the left print than it does on the right one. Also, the belly buttons on the snowman appear to be further to the left on the left photograph on the left photographic print, and they appear to be closer to the right edge on the one that's to the right. If you look at his eyes too, his eyes is right up against the edge of the frame on the right, but it's not on the left. It's 2 different perspectives of the same image. Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other? I think so. It's very subtle though. But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the 2 prints? Oh, well, it's because they're a set, you see. No, I don't. Come on! Put 2 and 2 together. This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment. Ah, stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard about that word? I've heard that word before recently. Oh, yes, that's what Mr. Sholmes showed us yesterday. You see, there it is, just over there. Ah yes, of course. That magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. Hehehe, well actually... It's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions. What, really? Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful, then I'll be able to tell you. She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene. I, for one, simply have to know. Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us? Well, I just opened them, and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Two eyes? Shocking. If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away, yep. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see. And it apparently happens that some people just can't sense depth, even with their own two eyes. Not sure why, but that's what I heard anyway. Ah, my brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me. Ah, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick. So if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'll be able to see depth in these prints. Yes, Runo, you're beginning to understand. And a stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that. Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all. Yeah, I know, you expect me to cross my eyes or something, but I can't do it. Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. I'm dying to have a go. Susato-san really loves this kind of thing. You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that? Cross my eyes? I can do it, but usually that's not enough for me to see things in 3D. Watch me and see if you can copy. Seeing her do it is so fun. Make your eyes do this. Yes. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? They look so goofy. There, how's that? Wonderful. Now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time. Yeah. Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try it looking at the prints. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. Okay. Should see two overlapping images like this, yeah? You try it now, Runo. I'm just going to have to give it a try, I suppose. Did the print split into two images for you? Now the next step. Yeah, but I can bring the two images one on top of the other by crossing my eyes like that, but as soon as I try to focus my view on it, my eyes don't want to cross anymore. It's a subconscious thing, I can't do it. Put the pair of prints side by side like this and then try crossing your eyes again. The prints should slowly merge together. Until... They form a new single image in the center. Yeah, I love that. Oh, yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works. I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. Oh, I could look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Your turn, Runo. Yeah, I can briefly see it in 3D, but I can't keep doing it. Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlap exactly in the middle, because it hurts. Your eyes are not meant to be used that way. I can't keep my eyes like that when trying to look at the image. Nah, I can't. It's just hurting me. I give up. No thanks. No thank you. There, you managed it, so now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo? They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly. On 3DS, that wouldn't be a problem. This being a 3DS game originally. No, so some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here and set the pair of photographs in the stand at the back and... Yeah, okay. We don't need to look at it all day. It's still amazing even though I know roughly how it works now. Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. But if these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them. But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case. Yeah, like with a auto stereoscopic 3D screen like that of the 3DS, right? Hint hint. Stereoscopic pictures. I'd never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. The second white cat photograph has been entered into the court record. Yeah, okay.
Okay, we should move that now, I suppose.
Windy Bank storeroom. April 16th, Windy Bank's storeroom. Poor Iris, she's clammed up completely. Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windybank's life was taken in this very room only last night. Ah! Wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do ya? Well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. What do you mean, sad? Down? Depressed? I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me, you were running away from a 10-year-old. I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector. Eh? Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? That's top job, Inspector. Great. Like, real convincing. I don't think that went very well. Why? Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine, and I told you not to get under my feet. And we have investigating to do ourselves. Yes. I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say. Oh, early. And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes' operation is going. Ah, yeah. Let's have a look around first, perhaps. The police have marked the position of the body with a chalk line. Let's analyze the blood. That's what I had in mind. Poor Mr. Windybank. He was a nice old man. Well, he was shot just once through the heart. Most likely the fellow died instantly. He wouldn't have felt a thing. This must be his blood then. Ah! I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action. So now we know the color of the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. So now we know the color of the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windybank's blood. Okay. And it doesn't match our analysis of the bloodstain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add this sample to the others we've already collected anyway. The blood samples portfolio has been updated in the court record. Oh, more details? Iris? Don't worry, I'm alright. But we must find the true culprit. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Out of all the articles in the storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Ah, what is it, Iris? That's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in. Oh. Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all this is about. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, you sold it. Without telling you. We must check inside the box at once. Yes. Ah. It was there. Iris' story was there. Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris? Yes. I mean, of course I believed early when he said deposited it here, but still. It's a relief to actually see it. Really? Because that's not a very well hidden frown. Iris's manuscript has been entered into the court record. Okay. Yeah, I know there's the gun too that I will definitely want to examine, but let's have a look at the rest maybe first. Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them. Can't believe how many there are. A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings. Look! Pieces of different people's lives, quietly gathering dust in here together. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policemen shuffling around. Not much I can do about that, Sunshine. Yeah, it looks, I think, whether you investigate this on the left or this on the right, that it would be the same thing. I mean, you would get the same description. Okay, well, we haven't looked at the gun yet. This is a revolver, a real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windybank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Bruno look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh. And I have had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Windybank with this yesterday, didn't we? Oh, it was his? I shall have to take my own life. It must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Jinna's hand. Mr. Windybank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in his gun has been fired. So we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Was that added as a piece of evidence? No, it wasn't. The Hound of the Baskervilles. How did Sato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me. I'm so sorry.
Let's talk to the policeman.
So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here? Pshaw! You've got eyes, haven't you? Use them! It is what it looks like, nothing more and nothing less. Aris, could you lend me a hand? So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here? Oh, yes, your ladyship, do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, at shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard police attended the scene. The one and only door to the storeroom was found locked from the inside. So it was locked from the inside. The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officers doing? Quite right, ma'am. Quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in as humbly as possible. Oh. As you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the floor, thuswise. And next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child. Are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector. Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor, dead to the world. She's still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious. I'm afraid to say she had the gun that was used in her hand. No. Presumably it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now. In her pocket, we found the key to the door as well. What? The key to the storeroom? And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector? Correct, all of which leaves her ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding. Of course it is, Inspector, of course it is. Gregsy, do you know anything about Early? Is the operation finished? Is Early alright? Is he? Well, the thing is, Don't mince your words, Inspector, please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is... No, the operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well... Out with it! Yes, ma'am! They used something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing. Renders the whole body insensitive. The whole body anesthetized? Is that even possible? It means the operation can be completed while the patient is fast asleep. Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction. The trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. They couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off, or so I hear. And now that the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently. Oh my! No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in his system, or if the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes around again. The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I shall get word to you. What a surprise. Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. Well, we're done here, aren't we? No? Or maybe we could present stuff to the policeman to open up more topics of conversation. There we go. Is that what I think it is? Your ladyship's latest? Yes, my latest story. It's called The Hound of the Baskervilles. A most fascinating title, your ladyship. Fascinating, and I don't suppose... Would there be any mention of my humble self in the tale this time? Good question. I can't really remember. Well, you'd remember if there was any case you worked on that involved the Baskervilles, right? I see. Well, why would you, your ladyship? I'll just await its publication with eager anticipation. You needn't worry, Inspector. I'm sure if you do appear, you won't be doing anything particularly remarkable. You're looking to be arrested, Sunshine. I didn't mean it like that, and even if I did, you wouldn't have bitten our ladyship's head off, would you? Okay, generic answer here. We don't tend to share, Sunshine, not with the general public. In that case, Gregsy, how about some herbal tea? Lovely. Very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. You don't mind sharing that, then? Nah, generic answer. Okay, let's skip it. Okay, generic answer again. I have to try them all. Now, okay, no, okay, there was a reaction to this. Inspector, what do you make of this? What have we here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper it was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket from McGilded's overcoat, the one that little diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do ya? No, I didn't mean to, Bruno's right, Gregsy. It isn't the same ticket. Of course it isn't, I never doubted you, your ladyship. So, what's all this about, then, if I might be so bold as to ask? This is a second ticket. A second one? It seems that Mr. McGilded, in fact, has another article in storage here at Windybanks. Is that right? I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. Alright, that should have opened up. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was hoping for. Excellent. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilded's overcoat. Eh? You mean to tell me... Yes, there was more than just a music box disc, it seems. I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly. Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilded deposited another article here with Mr. Windybank. Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it? Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue. Well, yes, I suppose it could be... Please stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes, all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. I'll lose me marbles. I'll go barking. This is no time for dog impressions, Doctor. That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There is one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it? Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here then. That's right, it's been forfeited. Forfeited. Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale. Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time. Oh? There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. That information is not written in the ledger. Oh.
Well, I think we should at least have a look just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old. Back to the main shop then. That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo? Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh, well, this will be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregsy to have a word. Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. Yes, this is where all the items that have been forfeited by their original owners are offered for sale. That's right, they've all got little price labels on them, but there are so many. I wonder if the small box this ticket was for is still on the shelves somewhere. The box that McGilded deposited here just over 2 months ago. Even if it were, finding it promises to be very troublesome indeed. There are so many boxes, it could be any one of them. Mr. Sholmes said that a pawnbroker's was the safest place to store anything, more secure than a bank's vault. So perhaps the small box of Mr. McGilded's contained something of very great value there. Well, if that's the case, he'd probably have kept it locked. So then we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open. That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen. This takes me back. It's been some time since Susato-san last threw me. Looking for something that doesn't have a tick on it. How do we do that? It's gonna be the same dialogue, right? Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, talking to the cops I think wouldn't change anything.
Or shall we look somewhere else? Well, there's no reason to be out here on the street. I was thinking about something. No, it's not here. The replica of the disc, I was wondering if maybe I could have it and listen to it on the machine that's in the shop. Look at Mr. Sholmes' desk, it's completely clear. It looks totally different without that enormous machine on it. Hurley lives in an absolute mess all the time. He never notices when things go missing. Even Mr. Sholmes must have noticed that huge lump of metal is no longer there, surely.
There's all sorts on these shelves.
Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment. Yes, Hurley does tend to overload the shelves. That's one way of putting it. He wanted to look something up in one of those books the other day, you know? But it was so tightly crammed in, he gave up and went out to buy a brand new copy instead. Something objection, society guy. Hi there, how's it going? The violin. Now this really is Mr. Sholmes' faithful performing partner then. The Stravidar, Strapiscar, the Scrapifarius. No, it's no good. You're dying? Why? Too hot? The virtuoso's violin that he found in the pawnbroker's and managed to buy for next to nothing in the process of becoming unalive. That's what dying is, usually. I hope Early gets well soon. I miss hearing his violin playing already. Oh, Iris, I'm sure he will. Yes, alivened. The fire's burning comfortably in the grate again today. That 10-year-old pisses me off. What 10-year-old? Ah, the girl in the game. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow. Early's been working on his disguises recently. He's been dressing as a woman mainly. Really? Mr. Sholmes? Dresses in women's clothes? Yes, you see the lady in that photographic print on the mantelpiece? That's Hurley. He's quite stunning. Well, all 10-year-olds, but the game one counts too? Ah, okay. It's an unusual way to make use of a huge metal chest as a table for tea and coffee, but it is a very sturdy box and I've noticed that it's always locked. Ah, well, that's because that box contains some of my most important things, which you have no intention of telling me more about, judging from that guarded smile. It's all the same descriptions as in the first time I examined the place. I was looking for the disc replica, but I can't seem to find it anymore. Yeah, I won't. Yeah, am I a pretty girl? The hospital, perhaps? No, okay. And there's no one here, it looks like. The prison? Ah, well, there's certainly something new here, then. Gina doesn't appear to be here. Oh, well, just my luck. I believe she must be in questioning at the moment. Oh, but wait a minute. What is it, Iris? Well, if you examine the scene here carefully, there's another possibility, isn't there? Ginny could have slipped the key from the jailer when he wasn't looking and escaped. Oh my! Why would she do something like that? It would only make her situation worse. Calm down, Rudo. I was only joking, of course. Oh. You had me worried there. I thought it was a great deduction. Yes, it must be your way with words, Iris. You're so wonderfully persuasive. Perhaps you don't fully understand the weight your words carry. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I suppose a light-hearted great detective is a contradiction in terms. Well, in the same situation, I'm sure Mr. Sholmes would just have thrown his head back and guffawed. Guffawed? Guffawed? Is that how you say it? Hold on a minute. Wait. Say it louder. Guffawed. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. Thank you. I'm not entirely sure that's helpful, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, anyway, it looks like we won't be able to talk to Gina for a while. We should try to make progress with our investigation in the meantime. Yes, come along then, Runo. Come along, Susie. but I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do now. Nothing new here. Nothing new here. Yeah, okay, I still can't look at it. What was the first thing? Ah, no, okay, never mind. Back to the storeroom. Or is there something I missed in here? I'm afraid I'm stuck. I don't know where to go or what to do. Well, let me save at the very least, since it's been a while. Okay, this is the final part of the investigation, so I'd kinda like to finish that today, at the very least. Bit of help, perhaps? Yeah, there's a guide here, but it's not complete yet. It's mostly just placeholder stuff while they're still working on writing it now that it's been released in the West. Ah, well, there we go. I think I've got it. Wait a minute. Yeah, actually. No, this is a generic answer. Oh, apparently, when you come out of the vault, or the back of the shop anyway, the clocks are supposed to go off to tell you to go back to prison. But there must be something I didn't do. The blood on the calendar turns green. Naruhodo then asks Iris to use her new device on the second cat photo since it has blood on it. Ah, yes, maybe I need to examine the piece of evidence myself since there's blood on it. I don't know what's going on at this point. Is a glitch? Not a glitch, no. I guess there are certain things that I was supposed to do before and I didn't. I had to look at the evidence to further the plot. Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something rather troubling here. I have noticed. The red smear, you mean? Yes, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case, yes, we need Iris. We should show this to her before we forget. Ah, okay. You had to update the piece of evidence by looking at it first before you show it to her then. Oh, that looks like blood. I would say it's from a gloved finger, almost certainly a glove made of leather. Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me. Okay, this one's purple. Look at that. Yes, that's a color we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colors correspond to at some point. Well, this particular stain of blood... Oh, you've had an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is? I suppose if he started talking about it, he must have. Yes, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the color it turned, but with a little deduction. That's right, I think it's clear. Iris, you know as well? You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to? Well, he said it was a glove. It was left by a glove, and Magnus McGilded had gloves with a blood stain on them in the first case. Well, I mean in a previous case that I had to play through. The third one, to be precise. Mr. McGilded. Yes, after all, this redemption ticket belonged to him. Oh, you don't think... You mean that during the incident on the omnibus? Yes, I expect so. It's a very clear print and no small amount of blood, so it must have resulted from a fairly serious accident, such as he might have sustained on the omnibus. Wait, but if I remember rightly, no sign of injury was found on Mr. McGilded at all. Ah, so it would have been the blood of the victim then, yeah. But left by him. We're trying to work out who the blood came from, so we can rule out anyone who hadn't been bleeding straight away. Yes, I suppose we can. I'll have to think this through some more. Who do we know was bleeding at the time? Yeah, okay, yeah, I was a bit off the mark there. Thrice-fired Mason. You don't sound very sure of yourself the way you trailed off there. Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case, and of course I'd never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though. The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago. Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windy Banks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time. So it's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night. Yeah, that's what I said.
Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding for his stomach?
I was still about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark. But we know that Mr. McGillet had no injuries at the time, anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason. Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes. Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope. Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Very well, let's make a note of this. The details of the pawnbroker's ticket for the coat have been updated in the court record. The blood analysis data has been updated in the court record. Yeah, and that's the event that I technically should have got earlier. Ah, I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windybank set such a wicked trap? I doubt he set out to scare anyone. Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon. Oh. It said dong 3 times. Our trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. Yeah, I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind. Don't you remember, Runo? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be her lawyer. Really? Did I say that? Yes, you did? Gee, ladies, calm down. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching. In that case, we had better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Wait, so does this mean this Gina girl gonna die? Well, gonna die, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. If she's found guilty and she gets the death sentence, I guess. I guess she could if she's not if she's found guilty. So she needs someone to defend her. Ah, Gina, good, you're back. Ah. The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Jeannie? Was it awful? She asked with that smile. How was that? Was that awful? What happened to that Japanese guy? Did Hubert get him? He returned to Japan, so we don't know what becomes of him then, after the end of that case. I suppose. He returned to Japan, so after being found not guilty. We haven't heard of him dying yet. Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windybanks. Oh, right. Yeah, yet, I don't dare say that this is a permanent state of affair, that Hubert won't have killed him. Yeah, you never know. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. Eh? What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Alright then, blimey. Give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish. Yeah? Like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know why you broke into Windybanks that night. Looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason and thrust it in Gina's face, or I could present it to her calmly, I'll suppose. No, thrust it in her face. It's the only way to go about this sort of thing. There! In your face! We found this in Mr. Windybank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story. Ah! Oh, right. Well, that's good then. Curiously, the storeroom at Windybanks showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. Thrust the evidence directly into our face hole. With one exception, the box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night? Eh? You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Arg! Why don't you tell us what happened, please? Silly. I went ahead and selected something I already selected before. We already have the representation papers and other documents we need. All we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. That is, if you'll allow me to represent you in court tomorrow. She may be feeling that if she wants to live, this is her only chance. If no one else will represent her. Nah, don't bother. Genie, rip him up and chuck him, would ya? Them representation papers or whatever they're called. The cell ain't fancy enough to have a bin. So, what will you do in court tomorrow? I'll be fine on my own. I don't think you will be. Look, it don't matter. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. This is one stubborn pickpocket. Damn it. Alright, yeah, this Baskervilles story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured it's gonna be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? I don't think that's true. Oh yes, at least 5,000 pounds. What? So you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you? I don't think she would have done that. No, Genie, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I weren't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the mental script or whatever you call it really was there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris's sake. Isn't that right? Ah, we knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did. But I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Genie. I just knew it. Well, when I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you'd said the night before. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. She wanted to know if Sholmes is as nice as Iris believes he is. To protect Iris. So that if he had lied, she could tell her or something, maybe. Something like that. I'm telling ya, that mental script ain't at Windybanks. You'd soon see if you had a look. So she went and had a look for her. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Early is telling me the truth sometimes. I mean, I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. But no, Sholmes didn't die. Oh, Genie, that was so sweet of you. Alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It weren't because of Iris, that's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. She wanted to know if Sholmes is one of those rare persons that she can trust, I guess. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest, if he'd really deposited the manuscript at Windybanks. It's like I told you the night before, I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got her dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's gonna be harder. That's why she writes her stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me anyway. Last night when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about daddy? You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective, so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner? Well, that's how I see it, yeah. You're so thoughtful and so kind, Ginny. She doesn't like being painted as a nice person. She prefers upholding that tough reputation of hers. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I hate all this chummy nonsense, do you hear? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work. Because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone, go on, Scarper. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable right there on both sleeves of that overcoat. Are some very suspicious red stains. What? What are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Hold on, back out. Present. Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat. Oh shit, she killed it someone. The stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet. What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo? You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So, could it be blood that spattered from Mr. Windybank when he was shot last night? Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Eh? Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. Purple. So, purple, that was the color of the blood of the victim from the third case? Thrice-fired Mason? Oh my, what the... Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course, the black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now. And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha, yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Would someone explain what's going on? Stop telling half a story! We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. MacGilded's overcoat. But in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. But if you look at this overcoat, now it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from MacGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet. No, if that was what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over MacGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there is no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus MacGilded, my client that I got to get a not guilty verdict. But he died in the end anyway, so he had it coming. Mr. Naruhodo, that horrible case is solved at last, and I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen? Bruno, did you believe him though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent? Well, at first, certainly, yeah. I believed, or rather I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to, because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon. A weapon? Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson. Lol, he's bitching cause he did his job as a defense lawyer. He's got scruples. You mean Kazuma-sama? Listen, Ryunosuke, we lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie, which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients, that's all we really have. Unwavering belief? Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina? Core sounds like in this empire of Japan you come from, everyone must be soft. Well, come on, look at the mess it's got you into believing in that buck trotter. Yes, I inadvertently helped the murderer walk free. Well, at least you've learned your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. Soon as you let down your guard, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one. Get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip him up and chuck him away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. How the fuck is Gina the most relatable character here? Don't forget, it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, a lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. If I say I don't trust her, it's game over, so... Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial. Hey, are you half-baked? Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth. Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo. Didn't you hear all of what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off my tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Gina, I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you there is more to this life than you yet realize, okay? I think I skipped something. What you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down. It's true that I'm just a student of law and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. God, Gina is being the stubborn bitch, holy shit. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side. What do you expect me to say to that? Oh, she's crying. Then it's decided. I will take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Hold on. Alright. You Eastern lot are... I don't know what you are, I don't get ya. Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She's never admitted it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out alright in the end, I think. Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice. Mr. Sato, somebody is there in the shadows, I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Ah, okay. I suppose you were using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Grexy! Oh dear me, I am most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. God, what type of ninja shit is she on? How long have you been listening in on our conversation? Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. We haven't been asked to leave. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye, and bye. That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Oh, but I wanted to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute. Oh, I see, that's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharpish, Long Strongheart will, well... Emergency? Lord Strongheart? Nothing, forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off. Alright, Grexy, if you have to, but let's chat soon. Delighted, charmed, can't wait, if you please, my pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere. Grexy is so funny, he says such silly things. It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court. I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes. Yes, of course. Thank you, Mr. Sato. Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later. Uh-huh. And so our investigation came to an end. Can you even call the police on that type of situation? I wonder. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day, and then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my inside. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today has been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested. All on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon. Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm. And yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, he got shot. He's not dead or anything, but he's having trouble coming out of the artificial sleep that he was put in. It was anesthetized so that they could fix up his artery that was punctured, I guess, or ripped. And well, he won't wake up now, so I guess he's in a coma. Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow. One final task. Okay, it's getting late, so we're almost at the end of the investigation part here anyway. I think it's gonna take 2 more streams to get through the trial proper. But I think 2 streams should be enough, probably. Depending on how fast I can find the right solutions and all that. Obviously, that will depend on how smart I can be. But anyway, I'll be off then. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow night. I may have stuff to do that may make me late, but we'll see how it goes. I can't make any promises yet, because I don't know yet what time I will have to do these things. But adios indeed, yeah. Have a good rest of the night, and see you next time. Bye-bye.